Hey guys, welcome back. This is the day after AJ and Ngannou just fought, and sadly, Ngannou literally got knocked the fuck out. Probably the most brutal boxing knockout I've seen in my life. At least a live event. I can't recall a live event where there was a more devastating knockout. Maybe Canelo versus Amir Khan, but it was brutal. And I'm not gonna lie, the visual of Ngannou flat out on his back with his legs underneath him and his toes curling, that is a visual that I never thought I'd see in my life. In a boxing ring, in an octagon, I never thought I'd see that in my life. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not proclaiming to be like some unbelievable Ngannou fan, but as a MMA fan in particular, this one really stings. This one really stings. This is as bad as Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev for me. I was really, even though AJ's from the UK, I don't relate to him at all really. And I think a lot of the person that he portrays himself in the media as is a persona. Now, I don't hate on the guy. If he was fighting anybody else, I maybe would root for AJ. But after hearing about Ngannou's story, seeing him on these podcasts where he talks about as a kid not even being able to afford a pen for school, working in the sand mines, coming from fuck all. And he was speaking on the True Geordie podcast about how he got moved around so much as a kid that he basically gave up on having friends and shit. I really was pulling for the guy, especially after he beat probably my favorite boxer in Fury. I still proclaim that he won that fight. And man, for him to just be sparked out by AJ like that, it stings. It really does sting. Because this guy in the octagon, this is probably the most dangerous guy to ever step foot in the UFC. Eddie Hearn now is waxing lyrical about how AJ's the baddest man on the planet. In boxing, Eddie Hearn. In boxing. Ngannou had the testicular fortitude to move over to boxing. But you never would see AJ move into the UFC. Not dissing AJ, but it's just the case. The acronym of the baddest man on the planet is ubiquitous with the UFC heavyweight champion, not boxing. It's like seeing Ngannou get knocked out in the ring and not the octagon. For him to take his loss in the ring, for him to finally lose like that in such a devastating fashion, it stings in a way, because it's like if you've got a tiger versus a lion, and before you put the fucking male lion versus the tiger, it's like if you took the lion's teeth out and then put it against the tiger. That's effectively what Ngannou's had happen in the boxing ring. Now, he's a grown-ass man. He knew what he was getting into. But fuck, seeing that visual of him just getting knocked the fuck out, God almighty, that sucks. The John Jones versus Ngannou fight is going to be one of those great what-ifs, along with Ferguson versus Khabib. Now, I personally think Khabib would have, even in Tony's prime, would have destroyed Tony, but maybe that's a bit of hindsight quarterbacking or whatever they call it. But man, so much in fighting is about timing, and the fact that we are never going to see that fight, and even if we were to see it now, it will have lost its luster, because Jones is getting older now. Jones is about to retire, let's be honest, and Ngannou has now been, for the first time in his life, made to look human. This is more defining than the first Stipe loss, because the first Stipe loss, where he got ragdolled, it was nowhere near as devastating as this shit. It may have felt more embarrassing to Ngannou, but it did not feel as devastating as this. That is one of the worst knockouts I've ever seen in MMA or boxing. He was out for a while, and it's just a crying shame that in order to get a decent amount of money, in order to get fairly compensated for who he is. Ngannou had to move over to boxing. Meanwhile, fucking Dana White is giving $250,000 to the Nelk boys. For Christ's sake, man. And Jesus Christ, he really let Ngannou slip through his fingers, man. And that is just, it's just a shame, bro. It's just a crying shame. The fights that we missed out on, seeing Ngannou fight, like, we'll never see Ngannou versus Jones, never see him versus Aspinall. It's just a fucking shame, really, isn't it? Yeah. To be honest, I'm a neutral in the overwhelming majority of fights, but I really, after Ngannou beat Fury, I really wanted him to win this one as well. But it wasn't meant to be. AJ fought the perfect fight, and it is what it is at the end of the day. I hope Ngannou can come back from that shit, because that was pretty devastating, eh? Yeah. I really think the UFC really fumbled this one. But it is what it is. I hope Ngannou can come back stronger. Good fight by both men.